You were never like the rest. From the very beginning, you moved to a different rhythm, one that others couldn't hear. While they shouted for attention, you stayed quiet. While they chased the spotlight, you found strength in the shadows. You understood something most never do. True power doesn't need applause. It doesn't scream or beg to be seen. Real strength waits. It watches. And when the moment comes, it strikes. Clean, precise, unforgettable. That's who you've always been. Not someone who needed validation to know your worth. You didn't need the world cheering to keep going. You had your own voice inside, louder than any crowd. And that voice told you early on that you weren't meant to follow. You were born to lead, even if no one saw it yet. Most people spend their lives trying to fit in. You were already planning how to break free. While others played by the rules, you studied them, not to obey, but to learn how to bend them, twist them, turn them into something only you could control. And that's when the first cracks formed between you and the rest of the world. They started watching, wondering why you didn't react the way they expected, why you didn't flinch when they tried to shake you, why you didn't run when things got rough. But they didn't understand. Silence isn't weakness. Quiet doesn't mean fear. You weren't ignoring the chaos around you. You were preparing for it. Because deep down, you knew what was coming. They thought they had you figured out. You stayed quiet, and that silence scared them, so they started guessing, trying to map out your next move, predict your reactions, plan how to control what they couldn't understand. But here's the thing. While they were plotting, you were already 3 steps ahead. They assumed you'd break under pressure. That doubt would creep in like it does with everyone else. But you weren't wired like everyone else. You didn't need their approval to keep moving forward. In fact, every time they tried to push you back, you only dug in. Deeper. They whispered behind your back, thinking you wouldn't hear. They shared their theories on why you did what you did, convinced they were reading you like an open book. But they were looking at the wrong pages, because while they were busy making assumptions, you were sharpening your edge. Every rumor, every lie, every failed attempt to knock you off, course only made you more focused. You didn't waste time defending yourself. You didn't beg them to understand. You just kept going. Silent, unstoppable, unshaken, and that's when they started to realize something wasn't adding up. You weren't reacting the way they expected. You weren't falling into the traps they set. You weren't even blinking when they threw everything they had at you. Because unlike them, you didn't rely on noise to feel powerful. Your strength came from within. Quiet, calculated, cold, and by the time they finally understood that they never really knew you at all, you were already gone. Moving on to your next target. They threw everything at you. Doubt, betrayal, sabotage. Every trick in the book, every angle they thought would break you. But here's what they never understood. You don't bow to obstacles. You destroy them. Every time they tried to slow you down, you sped up. Every time they built a wall, You tore it down brick by brick, not with brute force, but with precision, with focus, with a kind of quiet rage that doesn't scream. It burns. You've been underestimated your whole life. People thought silence meant weakness. They thought your calm meant you weren't paying attention, that your stillness meant you were afraid. Big mistake. Because while they were busy trying to figure out how to stop you, you were already rewriting the rules. You didn't need their permission to rise. You didn't need their approval to win. You just needed time, and every second they wasted trying to hold you back, that was fuel. Every insult, every backstab, every moment they thought they had the upper hand, you turned it into fire. That's the thing about beasts. We don't run from pain. We walk through it, we carry it, and then we use it. So when they tried to bury you under their schemes, they only gave you more reason to climb higher. Because you don't just survive. You conquer. And now look at you. Still standing, still moving, still silent, but never weak. You didn't announce your comeback. Didn't need to. No grand speeches, no flashy displays. You just showed up when they least expected it and reminded them why you were never someone to count out. Because that's how you operate, silent until the moment you strike, unseen until the damage is done. That's your power, not chaos, not noise. Precision. They thought they'd seen the last of you. Thought they'd won when you disappeared for a while. But you weren't gone. You were upgrading, reinventing, getting sharper, smarter, deadlier. And when you came back, you didn't ask for permission. You didn't beg for a seat at the table. You built your own. While they were busy celebrating their so-called victories, you were already moving on to the next mission, because that's what silent assassins do. We don't waste time gloating. We don't stop to admire the wreckage. We keep going. Because this isn't just about survival anymore. It's about dominance. You've learned how to turn every setback into a setup for something bigger. Every betrayal, a lesson. Every failure, a blueprint for what not to do again. You don't make the same mistake twice. That's what makes you dangerous, not because you're loud, not because you're angry, but because you're always thinking, always calculating, always ready. And now, you're unstoppable. There was a time when they believed they were untouchable, kings of their little world, ruling with fear and control. They crushed anyone who stood in their way, convinced no one could take them down. They thought power came from noise, from armies, from thrones, from the ability to silence others with a word. But they never saw you coming, because you don't need a crown to rule. You don't need an army to strike. You move alone, unseen, unnoticed, until it's too late. You didn't challenge their empire head on. That would have been suicide. No, you did something smarter. You watched. You waited. You learned every weakness, every blind spot, every crack in their armor. And when the moment was right, you struck, not with chaos, not with rage, with precision. One clean cut, and everything they built started to crumble. Because here's the truth about tyrants. They only understand strength when it's louder than their own. But you showed them that real strength doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be sharp. And now look at them, shattered, broken, scrambling to understand how someone they never even saw became the one who ended it all. That's the beauty of being the silent assassin. By the time they realize what hit them, you're already gone, moving on to your next target, leaving nothing but ruins behind. You're not just a person. You're a force, a storm wrapped in silence, a monster hiding behind calm eyes. And the truth is, most people never saw it coming, because they were looking for someone loud, someone angry, someone who needed attention. But you don't roar for validation. You don't flex for approval. You stay low, stay focused, and when the time comes, you rise. And when you do, the world finally realizes what it underestimated. Because beasts don't break. We don't cry out in pain. We don't beg for mercy. We take every hit, every betrayal, every setback, and we use it. We turn pain into power, silence into strategy, doubt into dominance. That's who you are, not someone built for comfort, not someone made to follow orders or play nice. You were born to conquer, to move through life on your own terms, to build empires in the dark and walk away without looking back. They tried to label you, tried to put you in a box so they could control you. But here's the thing. You don't fit in boxes. You break them, you destroy them, and then you build something better from the pieces. That fire inside you, it doesn't die. It only grows, stronger with every attack, every lie, every attempt to bring you down, because beasts aren't made. They're forged, in pain, in silence, in fire, and once you've been burned, there's nothing left to fear. They thought they had you figured out, thought your silence meant you were scared, thought your calm meant you weren't paying attention, thought your patience meant you wouldn't fight back. Big mistake, because while they were busy celebrating their so-called victories, you were already building something bigger, sharpening your weapons, refining your strategy, planning your next move with the precision of a silent assassin who never misses. They tried to break you, not just with words, but with actions, with schemes designed to dismantle you piece by piece. They threw everything they had at you: betrayal, sabotage, doubt, and hate. But here's what they didn't realize. You don't break. You adapt. You endure. You win. Every hit they landed only made you stronger. Every lie they spread only made you more determined. Every time they tried to shut you down, you came back sharper, colder, more focused than ever before. Because that's what beasts do. We don't stop when we're tired. We don't quit when we're hurt. We don't bow when the world tries to push us down. We rise, silent, unstoppable, and ready for war. And now they see it. Now they understand. The person they once underestimated. You were never the weak one. You were the storm they never saw coming. You don't need their applause. You never did, because real power doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't rely on validation to know its worth. You've already won, not just once, but every time you got back up, every time you kept moving while they tried to hold you down, every time you turned silence into strength, pain into progress, and hate into fuel, they thought they could stop you.